So this will be video 2 of weeks 9 to 10, contracts, chapter 7, third party rights. And in this chapter, we're looking at two separate concepts. I have here a context, but two separate concepts. Assignments of contractual rights and duties. I just added duties to that. And the creation of third-party beneficiaries. And as I note, there's a person or entity in both of these areas who is not a party to the initial contract, but after the initial contract has been formed, that individual or entity has acquired rights under the contract. Now, assignments and third-party beneficiaries address totally different situations, and so they're really separate and distinct from each other. Let's talk first about assignments. And when you read the book, you'll see that when we're talking about an assignment, we can also be talking about a delegation. And technically, the assignment refers to the assignment of a contractual right, and the delegation refers to delegating a duty under a contract. And I think in more modern terms, they're both just called assignments. The authors also use the concept of obligor, O-B-L-I-G-O-R. I think we start throwing terms like that around, we're confusing something that, at least for our purposes, ought to be pretty basic. And so the way I've defined assignment is an assignment occurs when a party to a contract assigns their place in the contract to the third party. In our vocabulary would be that the party making the assignment is the assignor, the party to whom the assignment has been made is the assignee. And I use just this basic example. When I bought the house I now live in, I obtained a loan from M&T Bank to make the purchase. And so there was M&T Bank in Collins, and there was a loan. And the loan was reflected in a contract which then required me to sign a note to pay the money back, and also to sign a mortgage so that if I didn't pay on the note, M&T could exercise its right to security and foreclose on the mortgage. In any event, under the contract, every month I was going to make a loan payment to M&T. And actually, soon into the contract, let me scroll this down a little bit. He's all over the place. What happens is I get notice from both M&T and Chase Manhattan Mortgage Corporation that M&T had assigned the contract I had with it, assigned the loan, if you will, to Chase Manhattan. And so now Chase Manhattan took over M&T's place in the contract. And let's just stop and think a minute. Was it a big deal to me? Of course not. It didn't change my obligations one bit. Instead of sending my money, and back then it was sending money in, rather than mailing the check to M&T, I mailed the check to Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan had the same obligations to me. I had the same obligations to Chase Manhattan as M&T had to me, as I had to M&T. So that's just a basic assignment. And I just throw in there, by the way, it's not relevant to understanding the legal aspects, but these kinds of assignments of loans really deal with different capital markets. And there's a market to sell a loan because of the interest. In other words, if you will, the interest creates more money than the amount of the loan, and that interest could be seen as capital, and it can be the juice of an assignment. And so long as the loans on real estate are in keeping with the market value of the property, and so long as the loans are made to people who exhibit a basic ability to probably pay them back, everything is going to work out just fine. What happened in 2007/2008 is the United States almost went into a depression because property had been overvalued and loans were being made to people who really didn't have the ability to pay them back. And those chickens, as they always do, came home to roost. In any event, getting back to assignments, what can be assigned and what can't be assigned? And what I point out is that parties to a contract can prevent all assignments, except an assignment of a contract for the payment of money only. And again, in keeping with what I just said, an assignment of a contract for the payment of money only operates in our system as a form of currency in different markets. But if we get beyond that, we can see that you and I enter into a contract, we can simply agree that the contract can't be assigned by you or by me. Oftentimes, however, there's no language one way or the other about assignments. And so our question is, if a contract is silent on assignments, then the law says the contract can be assigned unless there's a law that prevents the assignment. And in New York State, in many other states, you cannot assign future workers' compensation benefits. Also, what cannot be assigned is a contract that's personal in nature. And I give you an example, but let me give you another example. I don't know if anyone other than me has received acupuncture treatment. I swear by its effectiveness. And I have a wonderful person I see who's very experienced and so on. And if you've had acupuncture, you know that, the person who, the acupuncture doctor, I'll call that person, really puts a bunch of needles into your body in all different parts of your body. And you'd want to feel very comfortable with that person's ability and quite frankly, just comfortable with the person. And this acupuncture doctor came well recommended to me by a very close friend, so I felt comfortable right from the beginning. But let's assume that I had an appointment and I show up and a different person says, oh, by the way, your contract has been assigned by Dr. Fu, the woman's name, to me. Well, I don't have to consent to that assignment because the contract is personal in nature. And quite honestly, I don't think I would because of what I've just said. In the same deal as if you agree to A is agreed to tutor B's children, B cannot assign the contract so that A must now tutor C's children, again, unless there is consent. And then our third category of what cannot be assigned is if the assignment will either increase or otherwise significantly change the duties of the non-assigning party. So a young man, by way of example, cannot assign his life insurance contract to me, nor could a young woman, I might add. I was thinking of an example in class where I picked on a young guy, because that would drastically change the obligations of the life insurance company, correct? The life insurance company, when it sells you life insurance, takes into account, among other things, your age. Because what the life insurance company wants, of course, is to collect premiums well in excess of what it will have to pay out if there's a death. So a young person's premiums are going to be on the low side because, according to the actuarial table, so long as they're in pretty good health, they're going to live for a long time. An older person could be in good health, but the fact of the matter is there's only so much time left on the track that they're running on. So the life insurance company would have its duties significantly altered by such an assignment, and it wouldn't be allowable unless, of course, the life insurance company consented to it, and there's absolutely no reason why they would. Okay, so that's kind of a basic overview of assignments, and let's go into third-party beneficiaries. And as I have said already, they're entirely different from assignments. A third-party beneficiary is created when the parties to the contract intend to confer a benefit on a third party. Classic example would be a life insurance contract. Just stick with life insurance contracts. If you have children and you get a life insurance contract with the XYZ life insurance company, you're going to name, let's say, your children as beneficiaries. Well, your intent, if it wasn't your entire intent, because you may also have believed you bought some kind of an investment product, but your intent for the life insurance would be to confer a benefit on your children. Your children, of course, are not parties to the contract, but they would be known as third-party beneficiaries. The big deal of that is if you're a third-party beneficiary, you have the right to enforce the contract. So if someone dies and they have an outstanding life insurance contract and the life insurance company, according to the beneficiaries, is not properly performing, let's say unwilling to pay a double indemnity on the ground that there wasn't an accidental death, the third-party beneficiaries have the standing and have the contractual right to enforce the contract against the life insurance company. I point out sometimes parties enter into a contract and the performance confers a benefit on a third party, but there isn't any intent to benefit that party. And I use hypothetical. My neighbor's house is badly in need of a painting job. The neighbor enters into a contract with a painting company to paint the house. I'm going to benefit from that contract on the ground that presumably it's going to raise, to some extent, the market value of my house. But I'm not a third-party beneficiary because clearly there was no specific intent on the part of my neighbor and the painting company to convey a benefit on me. And I would be known as an incidental beneficiary, and an incidental beneficiaries don't have any right of enforcement. There's a case in the book that I'm not going to discuss, but I encourage you to read and spend a little bit of time on it. It's on page 112, Midwestern Indemnity Company versus Systems Building. And take some time, get out a piece of paper, read the case, diagram what's going on, and you get a real-world example of what a third-party beneficiary looks like other than under a life insurance contract. I think that the effort will serve you well. Okay, that'll end this video.